guys. This is Keys to the Truth. What is a mountain? First of all, I will offer a prayer. Creator, Almighty, of all that is and ever was and ever will be, we thank you from the deepest parts of my soul and my heart, my mind, for everything. And I pray for the well being and the love, protection, abundance, and advancement of all the souls in this realm and in all the realms. Blessed be you, all glories to you, forever and ever. So let it be. So let your will be done. So, guys, what is a mountain? Man, who doesn't love a good mountain? Is there such a thing as not a good mountain? I guess all mountains are beautiful, unless you're falling off of them, right? So don't fall off the mountain or trip or anything like that. But man, I'm fascinated by mountains. Who isn't? They're just beautiful. They're amazing. They're powerful. They're majestic. And by the way, that's uh, that's also my name in Sanskrit. It's Achalan, which means mountain, that which does not move. Now, even though mountains do not move, are they doing something? What's so captivating about them? There's a lot of power and magic that comes from mountains, and that comes from the fact that they do not move and that they are so huge. So, what's the one thing that grabs our attention from them of them is their height, their sheer size, their magnitude, and they also have a kind of magnetism to them. They're pretty amazing. They're pretty tall. Usually, you can have shorter or taller mountains, smaller or bigger mountains, but they're usually much larger than a human being. So these are just some of the characteristics of a mountain. Now, again, one of the keys to the truth: never believe what you are told at face value, especially by academia, especially by school, especially by so-called teachers. Uh, Even if they're meaning well, they might not just be deluded like we have been for such a long time. So let's just look at a mountain and see what we can perceive with our heart chakra, our fourth chakra, our fifth and sixth chakras, all our chakras, all our being, all our spirit, and our soul. And also use our intellect, our buddhi, and our mind, which is our manas, and our heart. So Hridaya, and try to elucidate what mountains really are and what they are doing. So do they have to have a function or not? You could argue that point as well. I would say everything has a function in this realm, in this reality. That's just my conclusion after much study. But you're welcome to tell me in the comments if you think otherwise. So, and that will also lead us to find out many more things regarding mountains, what they are, what they're doing, how they were formed, and without even going into the fake science narrative. Right. So let's keep going here. Bear with me. Elevated portion of the ground. Okay. Here we go. Now let's look at some mountains. All right. Because if we're gonna, and we're using this tool here, which is Google Maps, and we know this map is distorted. It's not accurate. That's one of the reasons they have all these winding roads. That's one of the reasons that roads are not made straight. And that's very simple to prove. Oh, we made it winding because you had to wrap around the curve. Well, whenever you want, you can bust through something, or you can build a tunnel or a bridge then how come you don't build all the roads straight? Well, the reason is so because they don't want you to triangulate the real map or the real dimensions of the country, of the state, of the earth, etc. But that's a different subject. The one thing that strikes me from mountains, and again, guys, these videos are not reductionist or simplistic. This is part one in a series, and I do not pretend that I know everything about mountains or that I will tell you everything about mountains in less than an hour. That'd be ludicrous to think that. But I will try to shed some light or convey some of the light that God has shown me and His wisdom and His kindness. So there might be a lot more to it. This is not the be all end all. This is just the beginning. The one thing that strikes me from the mountains, for example, in the Google Maps, is the shape. The shape. And I've seen this shape also on flying. So it's not just, oh, it's distorted, it's not of value. There are mountain ranges, and I'll show you right here. You can see that they have that same shape. You can see they have this shape. And I've flown so many times through them, so I can vouch for this, that I've seen these shapes. They're fractal patterns. So if you know anything about fractals, that's your big aha moment. Okay, like, whoa, why do they have a fractal pattern? And what is a fractal pattern? So that's gonna give us the answer right here. So we're taking very simple concepts, all right? Nothing more, just simple steps are going to lead you to the truth. So what is a fractal mountain? They can even be generated by a computer. So by taking equilateral triangles or other triangles and recursively subdividing them into other triangles, they can generate these fractal mountain patterns, okay, on the computer. Just like, and they look just like the ones in real life. So this is CGI. This is not a real thing. This is CGI, and it's generated by replicating triangles. This is CGI right here, and it looks just like the real thing. CGI, computer generated graphics. All right. So what you're following, that they have a fractal pattern. All right. We can replicate it on the computer, and they're real life. So why do they have a fractal pattern? Remember, everything has a why. The fact that you don't know the why doesn't mean that it doesn't have a why. Or the fact that you don't know the purpose doesn't mean that it's not true. All right. So again, this is going to help us tremendously when we observe these tiny little things. We may not have been taught these in elementary school or high school. We should be. But we're finding out now. So let's keep going. And if you have kids, you can share this information with them, and they will absorb it like sponges, and they will understand it much faster than you and I can. It's unbelievable how when you start feeding young minds this correct information, they like just blow up with it, and they will surpass you very quickly, and that's pretty amazing. All right, so let's keep going. Fractal patterns. Now we're back to the fractal idea. What is a fractal? It's a geometric shape. Okay, and there's something very particular about it. It's a Fibonacci sequence that keeps repeating. Now the Fibonacci is also very special. I'm not gonna explain it all here, but you can look it up, and it's named after an Italian guy that the way it worked back then is they would plunder the world and find out all these temples and hidden documents, and then they would bring them back to Europe, and then they would sell them in maybe a black market of sorts to the scientific community there. They would interpret it, translate it, and apply it, and then they would call it their own. So that's kind of how I'm gathering that it worked. So the Fibonacci, you can find it in ancient texts in India, way before it was called Fibonacci. So this is ancient knowledge, and this is knowledge of our world and how it's made, and it is the golden ratio. So it's a pattern that's repeating in infinite sequence, and it is the golden ratio because that's the ratio of our faces. That's the ratio of creation, and you can see it in trees. You can see it in so many things, in conch shells. You can see it in flowers, all flowers. You can see it in our ears. You can see it in lightning. So it's, in my opinion, the signature of the creator, and it's just everywhere in nature. There's no nature. Again, that's the hugest misnomer. And I kind of don't like the word anymore, but I use it so that we can communicate. But in this magical realm of creation, all right. So we keep going, and we find out about fractal antennas. Be sure to watch my video on why plants are green, and I've done some other videos where I've gone into what a fractal antenna system is. And these people have done a lot of research into this, and they've discovered that they have companies, whoa, um, here, that are working on these systems, and where did they find out about them? They found out from the realm around us, from nature. They have fractal batteries, fractal water systems, and what they're doing is they're just copying plants, they're copying trees, and so that gives you an insight as well on what trees really are, what the patterns in water. Water makes all these patterns, and they're fractal patterns. So again, what's really going on here? If you can use it uh, to make an antenna and power your cell phone or other more powerful technological applications, which technologies is hidden magic. It's the other way around. It's not that advanced technology looks like magic. It's that technology is magic in hiding. So it's the other way around. It's the opposite always. So then we can conclude very quickly and very easily that mountains in their fractal arrangement could very well be fractal antennas. They are indeed fractal antennas. Okay, so mountains are fractal antennas. That's one of the things that they are. They're much more than that, but that is one of the things. And like, why would the creator make these huge, huge fractal antenna arrays that are just, insanely huge, insanely big, and they're pretty much everywhere. There's places where there's not so many mountains, but most mountain ranges have this fractal pattern. I would say all of them, honestly, they have a fractal pattern. So they're huge fractal antennas. What are they doing? Why would you say it? Why would you set thousands of kilometers or miles um, wide and high? Why would you set so many antenna arrays? Because you're transmitting something, right? You're receiving something, or you're using them for a specific purpose, all right? So that's one of the things that mountains are doing. I'll get to more of this in other sections of this series. But the initial one I want to point your attention towards is water springs and water distribution. So I'll get to it right immediately. I think mountains are, in essence, a water distribution network, a freshwater distribution network for the land. That's it. They're a ground-based water distribution network and system, and it's made not by man. It's made by an intelligence that is just unbelievably advanced. It's the super consciousness of the universe that we refer to as God that makes everything. So here, let me show you the evidence. I jump to the conclusion, but sometimes that's what happens. You get the knowledge first, and then you start looking for the evidence. So where does fresh water pop up? Where does it come from? Well, we see that there's some rainwater, right? Okay, that's part of the explanation, but that's not all the explanation. If you look closely, you can find water springs pretty much everywhere. Like in Florida, there's going to be water springs that are, close to sea level. But in most areas, you're going to find water springs high up in the mountains. And usually that's the case. Ask anybody that lives high up a mountain or that has lived a long time, above, several thousand feet, and ask them, if they've seen water coming out of the rocks, water coming out of the mountain, waterfalls, springs, and you can corroborate this fact. Let's read here. A spring is a water source formed when the side of a hill, a valley, bottom, or other excavation intersects a flowing body of groundwater at or below, blah, blah, blah. They're claiming it's rainwater. It's not all rainwater because, by the simple reason, if the rain would stop, then the rivers would go empty, be dry, and we can see there's a correlation. I'll give you that. There is a correlation. Sometimes when there's very little rain for an extended period, the rivers tend to dry out, but not completely. Like even the bigger rivers, they don't dry out completely. I've seen a lot of personally, like waterfalls that are, just take Niagara Falls, for example, that are always flowing with water. If there's rains, there's going to be more water. If there's no rains, there's going to be less water, but they always have water. All right. Non-artesian springs may simply flow from a higher elevation through the earth to a lower elevation. All right, cool. Mountains can be called natural water towers, and here is the answer. They're telling you by accident because they can't hide everything. They cannot hide the truth forever. It is us that are bewitched, that do not have the eyes to see. But the truth is there, staring us in the face. Mountains can be called natural water towers because they are vital headwaters to many rivers and other freshwater sources. This freshwater arrives from melting snow, that's BS, that produces stream flow that winds up. Okay, so they're kind of hiding some of the truth and then telling you some of the truth. What's happening is mountains are acting as water towers. Now, here's the situation. Why do you need a water tower? Okay, why do cities have all these water towers everywhere? And because why do you have a water tank sometimes at home? And it's not the simplest thing. Try getting water up a 2-story building, 3 stories, 4 stories, 5, 10 stories. How easy? Does it happen on its own? Or do you have to have a pump system? Do you have to have a system in place making that water flow upwards because it doesn't want to? It wants to go to the ocean. It wants to keep low. So you're taking underground water, and you're pumping it up thousands of feet up the mountain. How's the mountain doing that? Because it has a system. It has a fractal antenna system that's pumping the water. And here's more proof of that. Well, you need to pressurize the water for distribution, right? So here's the next one. Your water fractal systems. Yeah, you can do that. Seismic activity near mountains proves the point, and this is also the reason for earthquakes. There is no such thing as plate tectonics. Again, plate tectonics are a complete fallacy. They're another hoax. The land does not move. It will never move unless God wants it to move. Sure, an earthquake can quake the earth, can make things shake, but it's not going to move the continent shelf. Never. That is complete and utter nonsense. You can see the global seismic hazard map here, and you can see the red, and it's right alongside the mountains. You can see the Himalayas right here, the Alps, you can see the Rocky Mountains, the Denali mountain range up here, the Andes, and it coincides perfectly because that's where you have the water pressure underground making the earth shake. because the mountains are acting as what they're supposed to be doing. They're doing their job. They're working as water towers, and they're pumping. They're pumping the water. They're pumping the water underground. See the Himalayas, the tallest, the Andes. You see the volcanoes down in Mexico. So earthquakes again. Earthquakes, Denali mountain ranges, and you can correlate it almost 100%. Again, you can corroborate this fact with anybody that lives near mountains. Do most earthquakes occur near mountains? No, but earthquakes cause mountains. Can cause mountains. It's the opposite way around with these guys. Everything. And again, you can correlate this with man-made stuff. For example, fracking. Right? When we start fracking for gas underground, we cause earthquakes. This is a fact. Although these search engines are going to try to hide it. Does fracking cause earthquakes? An increase in seismic activity has been linked to injecting fracking water. All right. So you see, USGS. I tried to find this, and it's giving me an error message. Does fracking cause earthquakes? They took the site down, so they're trying to hide stuff from us. But hydraulic fracturing, aka fracking, and we're injecting water underground at pressure, and it does cause seismic activity. But so this is proof right here that mountains are fractal antennal systems, and among other things, they're doing many more things, which I will go into in other videos. Among other things, they are indeed pumping water underneath us, fresh water. Where are they getting the water from? They are getting it from some ice and from snow and some rainfall, but that's not all. The water's coming, and I'll tell you, even if it sounds crazy, the water's coming from the tree of life. I'll do another video on that. The water's coming from the tree of life. It's getting pumped into the ground, and mountain ranges act as relay stations to keep the water pumping and flowing up and then down, so that we have a system of streams and reservoirs so that the land can give life. And then it goes back to the ocean, and then from the ocean, the tree of life absorbs that water again, desalinates it, it uses the salt to make the sun, and then it pumps the fresh water back out. That's why the tides as well. That explains the tides as well. So I'll do another video on that. This video is more dedicated to the mountains. Furthermore, we have the Bible, where it clearly says in Psalm 96, sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord all the earth. Sing to the Lord, praise his name. Proclaim his salvation day after day. Declare his glory among the nations, his marvelous deeds among all peoples. For great is the Lord and most worthy of praise. So you see, guys, these are not just metaphors or similes or mythologies. These are actual facts. We have here that the mountains are indeed a fractal antenna array. And what does an antenna do? Well, it sings, pretty much. So it sing all the earth. Well, the mountains are indeed singing. Let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Psalm 150. Again, zero dogma. All right. You can view these lines as dogmatic and just in blind faith, or you can try to find the deeper truths and the facts of the matter. We have 1 Chronicles 16. Sing to him, sing praise to him, tell all of his wonderful acts, glory in his holy name. Sing to the Lord all the earth. Again, the same lines. Let the trees of the forest sing, let them sing for joy before the Lord, for he comes to judge the earth. So the mountains, as well as the trees, are fractal antenna arrays, as I've shown you, as I've proved to you, and they are indeed singing to the Lord, distributing the water of life throughout the world, throughout creation. Now, there's some people out there that have this theory that all mountains are pretty much man-made, huge um, buildings made of clay or made of bricks and stuff, and that all these water springs are ancient waterways built by giants or an ancient civilization. I think that's complete nonsense, and that's just to further delude you from the truth. That's my opinion. Mountain ranges are just too huge, and the system of water distribution and their other functions are of a nature that is unstoppable. Meaning, whatever you want to do, if you would use TNT and try to bomb these mountain ranges, you would not succeed in derailing the system. It's a system that's foolproof in distributing the water throughout the land. So it's a system that is just too huge to comprehend in its complexity and its simplicity at the same time, and the feats that it's accomplishing. So there might be, giant uh, monoliths, giant pyramids. I'll give you that. But take the whole Rocky Mountains, the Denali mountain range, the Himalayas, the Andes, the Alps. They're just, I mean, just if you ever had a chance to look at them in person, the size is just completely out of this, out of anything that anybody could imagine, unless you see it up close and in real life. And you know, again, this goes to show you that there is deeper truth in the Bible, and there is much for us to learn. We should always abide in a spirit of humility, since we are quite ignorant and we pretty much don't know anything. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, check out the website, keys to the truth.com. Let me know your comments, and God bless you.